Ambassador Elena Vasquez looked out the window of Kepler Station at the vast emptiness of space. Her hands shook slightly as she held the datapad containing humanity's petition to join the Galactic Council. After 50 years of contact with alien species, this was Earth's first chance to become a real member of the galactic community. The station was huge, built by 12 different alien races working together. Strange creatures walked the hallways. Some looked like walking crystals that sparkled in the light. Others were just clouds of gas floating in special suits. Elena had studied all the different species for years, but seeing them in person still amazed her. "Ambassador, they're ready for you," said Captain Rodriguez, the head of her security team. He was nervous too. Everyone knew how important this meeting was. Elena walked into the Great Council chamber. It was a massive room with 12 different sections, each designed for a different type of alien. The Zephyrians sat in their crystal formations, creating beautiful light patterns when they moved. The Nethrak Collective floated in their gas containers, speaking in sounds that the translation devices barely understood. High Counselor Zareth of the Zephyrians spoke first. His voice was like ice breaking. "Humans of Earth, you have requested membership in our council. You are young, very young. Your species has existed for a tiny moment compared to ours. Why should we accept you?" 2. Elena stood up straight. She had practiced this speech 1,000 times. Honored counselors, humanity brings new ideas and energy to the galaxy. We have made great advances in medicine that could help all species. Our quantum computers can solve problems in new ways. We create art and music that expresses the beauty we see in all life. She activated her presentation device. Images of Earth appeared in the air above the council chamber. Cities full of people from different cultures, working together. Scientists discovering new things. Artists creating beautiful works. Children playing and laughing. "We know we are young," Elena continued. "But youth brings hope. We see possibilities where others see problems. We dream of a galaxy where all species work together as friends." Some counselors whispered to each other. Elena could not tell if they were impressed or annoyed. The Vorthen representative, a being that looked like a giant insect, clicked its mandibles in what might have been interest. "We offer our knowledge freely," Elena said. "Our medical discoveries could add years to the lives of your people. Our computer technology could help solve resource problems across the galaxy. We ask only for the chance to prove ourselves as worthy partners." High Counselor Zareth raised one of his crystal arms. The room became quiet. "You speak of partnership, but your species is violent. Your history is full of wars. You fight each other over resources, ideas, even skin color. How can we trust you not to bring this violence to the peaceful galaxy?" Elena felt her heart sink, but she kept her voice steady. "Yes, we have fought wars, but we learned from them. We united our planet. We ended hunger and disease. Our violent past taught us the value of peace. Now we want to share that peace with the stars." Another counselor spoke up. This one was from the Aquatic Federation, speaking through a water-filled helmet. "Your ships carry weapons. Your colonies are protected by military forces. You say you come in peace, but you prepare for war." "We protect ourselves," Elena replied. "But we have never attacked another species. When pirates threatened our trade routes, we defended our people. When natural disasters struck other worlds, we sent aid, not armies. Our weapons exist to protect the innocent." The council members talked among themselves for several minutes. Elena could not understand most of what they said, even with the translation devices. She noticed that the Zephyrians seemed to be leading the discussion. Finally, High Counselor Zareth stood up. His crystal body caught the light and threw rainbows across the chamber walls. "We have made our decision." Elena held her breath. "Humanity is a contamination vector," Zareth announced. His voice was cold and final. "Your species is too aggressive, too unpredictable. too dangerous to exist alongside civilized races. You bring chaos wherever you go. Elena stepped forward. That's not true. We've helped others. We've shared our knowledge. We've never. Silence. Zareth's voice boomed through the chamber. The decision is made. Humanity is a threat to galactic peace. This threat must be eliminated. Elena's eyes widened as she saw the other counselors nodding in agreement. Even the ones who had seemed friendly now looked at her with cold eyes. You can't do this, Elena said. We came here in peace. We followed all your protocols. Red lights began flashing throughout the chamber. Elena heard the hum of energy weapons charging. Captain Rodriguez stepped in front of her, his hand on his weapon. Ambassador, we need to leave. Now, he shouted. But it was too late. The station's defense grid activated. Energy beams filled the air. Elena watched in horror as Captain Rodriguez was vaporized instantly. Her other team members screamed as the deadly energy reached them. Elena felt the burning sensation as the beam touched her. She had just enough time to activate her emergency transmitter. Earth, this is Ambassador Vasquez, she gasped into the communicator as the energy tore through her body. The Council. They've killed us all. It was a trap. They never intended to let us join. The pain was incredible, but she forced herself to keep talking. Remember us. Remember what they did. Make them pay. Make them pay for this. The transmission cut to static as Ambassador Elena Vasquez, the first human diplomat to address the Galactic Council, died along with her entire team. The peaceful mission that was supposed to bring humanity into the galactic community had ended in cold-blooded murder. In space, the emergency beacon continued, broadcasting Elena's final words back to Earth, carrying news that would change everything. President Chen sat in the emergency meeting room deep under Luna Command. The message from Elena Vasquez played for the 5th time. Around the table, the most powerful people in human space listened to their ambassador's final words with growing anger. They killed them all, Admiral Sarah Reyes said quietly. Her voice was steady, but her hands were clenched into fists. They invited our people to a peace meeting and murdered them in cold blood. General Morrison slammed his fist on the table. 50 years. 50 years we tried to be their friends. We followed their rules. We shared our discoveries. We helped their colonies when they had problems, and this is how they repay us. Dr. Marcus Webb, head of the Terran Science Division, spoke up. The transmission analysis confirms it was planned. The station's defense grid was modified specifically to kill humans. They studied our biology to make sure the weapons would be effective against us. President Chen looked around the room. These people had spent their lives trying to build peaceful relationships with alien species. Now that hope was dead, killed along with Elena and her team. What are our options? Chen asked. Admiral Reyes stood up and activated a holographic display. Mr. President, I need to tell you about Project Prometheus. The room became very quiet. Several people looked confused. Project Prometheus was classified above most security levels. For the past 30 years, while we've been playing the role of peaceful newcomers to the galaxy, we've also been preparing for this exact situation. Reyes continued. We always suspected that not all alien species would welcome us. So we built a backup plan. The holographic display showed images of massive shipyards hidden in asteroid fields, construction facilities on the dark sides of moons, factory complexes built inside hollow planetoids. We have been building a military force in secret, Reyes explained. While our diplomatic ships visited alien worlds with gifts and friendship, our spy ships were mapping their defenses and studying their technology. Dr. Webb added his own presentation. We've reverse-engineered every piece of alien technology we could get our hands on. Not just copied it, improved it. Our quantum computers have been running battle simulations for decades. We know the location of every Galactic Council world. We know their military capabilities. We know their weaknesses. President Chen stared at the displays. How many ships do we have? The Ghost Fleet alone has over 10,000 units, Admiral Reyes replied. Each one is smaller than a fighter, but carries enough antimatter to destroy a space station. They're invisible to most alien sensors and controlled by AI systems that can think faster than any alien commander. But that's not all, Dr. Webb continued. We've developed weapons that specifically target alien technology, nanite swarms that can shut down their computer systems, quantum viruses that can spread through their networks, energy weapons that are tuned to their specific physiologies. General Morrison pulled up another display. Every human colony has secret military installations. Mars has antimatter production facilities. Titan builds our stealth ships. Even the civilian colonies in other star systems have hidden weapon caches. President Chen felt overwhelmed. You're telling me we've been secretly building for war, while publicly seeking peace? We hoped we'd never need to use any of this, Admiral Reyes said. But Elena's father was one of the first humans to meet aliens. He told me once that humans should always have a way to defend themselves, because the galaxy might not be as friendly as we hoped. Elena's father? Chen asked. Colonel Vasquez. He died in the first alien contact incident 20 years ago, when a Zephyrian ship attacked our exploration vessel. Elena became a diplomat because she believed her father was wrong about aliens. She thought she could prove that peace was possible. The room was silent for a moment, as everyone thought about Elena's sacrifice. Dr. Webb spoke again. Mr. President, our analysis shows that the Galactic Council sees humanity as a threat because we're different. We adapt too quickly. We solve problems in ways they don't expect. They're afraid that if we join their civilization, we'll change it in ways they can't control. So they decided to eliminate us, Chen said. Yes, sir. But they made one crucial mistake. They think they know what humanity is capable of. They've only seen our diplomatic face. They have no idea what we've been building in secret. Admiral Reyes activated another display showing the locations of Galactic Council worlds. The Reaper Protocol is our response plan. We don't just attack their military. We systematically dismantle their entire power structure. We hit their shipyards, their communication networks, their resource extraction facilities. We make it impossible for them to wage war. What about civilians? President Chen asked. We avoid civilian targets when possible, General Morrison replied. This isn't about revenge, although that's part of it. This is about survival. The Galactic Council has decided that humans shouldn't exist. We need to prove them wrong. President Chen looked at each person around the table. Are you all in agreement? This means total war with the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. Everyone nodded. Then God help us all, Chen said. Admiral Reyes, you have authorization to implement the Reaper Protocol. Dr. Webb, begin deploying our secret technologies. General Morrison, alert all colony commanders. Admiral Reyes smiled grimly. Elena asked us to make them pay. We will. But more than that, we're going to show the galaxy that humanity doesn't back down from bullies, no matter how old or powerful they think they are. The President activated the emergency broadcast system. This message goes to every human colony, every ship, every station. Today, we stop pretending to be weak. Today, we show the galaxy who we really are. Across human space, factory worlds switched to wartime production. Hidden weapon caches were opened. Secret military units revealed themselves. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had been preparing for this war for 30 years. And now, finally, it was time to fight. High Counselor Zareth stood in his command center on the Zephyrian homeworld, watching the crystal formations that served as his species' equivalent of computer screens. 3 months had passed since the elimination of the human diplomatic team. The galaxy was quiet. Too quiet. Status report, Zareth demanded. His crystal body reflected the light from the command displays, creating patterns across the walls. "All border stations report normal activity," replied Sub-Commander Zenth. "No human ships detected in our space. Their colonies appear to be maintaining normal trade patterns. Perhaps they accepted our decision and will not cause trouble." Zareth was not convinced. He had studied humans for decades before ordering their elimination. They were too aggressive to simply accept defeat. "Increase patrols along our borders. Double the sensor sweeps. Humans do not surrender easily. 1. Copeline. 1. Copeline. 1. Unknown to Zareth, he was absolutely right. At that very moment, thousands of human ghost ships were already in Zephyrian space. They had been there for weeks, disguised as space debris, asteroids, and even old alien wrecks. The ships were smaller than most alien fighters, but packed with advanced technology that made them nearly invisible. Captain Lisa Chen commanded Ghost Ship Alpha 7 from her position hiding behind Zephyrian Prime's largest moon. Her ship looked like a piece of broken asteroid, complete with fake mineral deposits and impact craters. But inside, it contained enough antimatter to destroy a small city. "All units, this is Ghost Leader," she spoke into her communicator. "Operation Payback begins in 60 seconds. Remember, we target military installations only. No civilian targets, unless they fire first." Across the Zephyrian system, similar conversations were happening. Ghost ships that had been drifting silently for weeks suddenly came alive with purpose. Each ship had been studying its target, learning patrol patterns, identifying weak points in defenses. The attack began exactly at 0800 Earth Standard Time. Ghost Ship Alpha 7 activated its engines and accelerated toward the main orbital defense platform above Zephyrian Prime. The platform was massive, bristling with energy weapons and protected by shields that could stop entire fleets. But the ghost ship was too small and too fast for the platform's targeting systems. Captain Chen guided her ship through the defensive grid like a needle through fabric. Alpha 7 slammed into the platform's main reactor and detonated its antimatter payload. The explosion was visible from the planet's surface as the platform vaporized in seconds. All across the system, similar explosions lit up space. 12 orbital platforms destroyed simultaneously. 3 major shipyards turned into expanding clouds of debris. The main military communications center simply vanished. High Counselor Zareth watched in horror as his civilization's defenses collapsed in minutes. How is this possible? Where did they come from? Our sensors showed nothing. Sub-Commander Zenth was frantically trying to coordinate a response, but the human attack was too well planned. "Sir, they're using some kind of stealth technology we've never seen. Our targeting computers can't lock onto them. They're too small and too fast." "Send out all our fighters," Zareth ordered. "Use visual targeting if the computers don't work." But even as he gave the order, Zareth knew it was too late. The ghost ships had done their work, and were already disappearing back into the void. The Zephyrian fighter squadrons found nothing but empty space and the glowing remains of their military installations. Captain Chen was already 3 light minutes away from the battle zone, her ship once again disguised as space debris. "Mission accomplished. Ghost Leader," she reported. "All primary targets destroyed. 0 human casualties. Moving to secondary objectives." The secondary objectives were the Zephyrian communication arrays that connected their world to the rest of the Galactic Council. Ghost ships that had been waiting in the outer system moved in and systematically destroyed every long-range transmitter they could find. Within 6 hours, the Zephyrian homeworld was completely cut off from the galaxy. But the Zephyrian system was not the only target. Similar attacks were happening simultaneously across 12 different star systems. Every member of the Galactic Council woke up to find their military defenses in ruins. On the insectoid world of Klaxon 5, Admiral Zix watched her hive ships burn in their orbital docks. The humans had somehow infiltrated the system without triggering any alarms. They struck with surgical precision, destroying only military targets, while leaving civilian areas untouched. This is impossible, Zix clicked through her mandibles. No species has technology this advanced. Where were these ships hiding? The answer would have terrified her. The ghost ships had been in her system for over a month, studying every aspect of Klaxon 5's defenses. They had learned the patrol patterns, identified the weak points, and planned their attack down to the smallest detail. Dr. Webb had been right when he told President Chen that humans were different. While alien species built according to established patterns and fought according to ancient traditions, humans adapted and innovated. They found new solutions to old problems. The Vorthan Empire, oldest of all the Council species, suffered perhaps the worst damage. Their massive dreadnought shipyards, built over thousands of years, were reduced to scrap metal in a single day. The humans had identified that the Vorthan relied on centralized manufacturing, so destroying a few key facilities crippled their entire military production. On Earth, Admiral Reyes watched the reports coming in from the Ghost Fleet commanders. Every mission was a complete success. No human ships lost. All primary targets destroyed. The Council's military capability had been reduced by roughly 60% in a single day. Phase 1 is complete, she reported to President Chen. The Council's major military installations are destroyed. Their communication networks are down. They can't coordinate a response. President Chen nodded grimly. What about their reaction? Confusion and panic, mostly. They're trying to figure out how we did it. Some of them are already calling for negotiations. Too late for that, Chen replied. They had their chance for peace. Now they get war. Dr. Webb joined the conversation. The psychological impact is exactly what we predicted. The Council species see themselves as superior to humanity in every way. Having their defenses penetrated so easily challenges their fundamental beliefs about themselves. High Counselor Zareth, still trapped on his isolated homeworld, was indeed questioning everything he thought he knew about humans. How had they developed such advanced stealth technology? How had they learned so much about Zephyrian defenses? How had they coordinated attacks across multiple star systems simultaneously? The answer was simple, but terrifying. Humans had been preparing for this war for 30 years. While they smiled and offered friendship, they had been studying every aspect of alien civilization. They knew the Council's weaknesses better than the Council knew them themselves. As night fell on Zephyrian Prime, Zareth looked up at a sky that no longer showed the comforting lights of orbital defense platforms. For the first time in his long life, he felt something he had never experienced before: fear. 8 months had passed since the Ghost Fleet attacks, and the Galactic Council was desperate. High Counselor Zareth stood before the emergency assembly of surviving Council members. Half of their worlds had been hit by human raids. Their military production was down by 70%. Worse yet, several species had started questioning the Council's authority. We must act now, Zareth announced to the assembled representatives. The human threat grows stronger each day. They have turned other species against us. They spread lies about our peaceful intentions. Admiral Vorthak of the Ancient Empire raised one of his many arms. His insectoid features showed clear signs of stress. The humans have recruited allies. The Rigel Trade Federation now refuses our ship's passage through their space. The Centauri colonies have declared neutrality. Even some of our own member species question our decisions. This was true. Dr. Webb's intelligence network had been busy spreading the real story of Elena Vasquez's murder throughout the galaxy. Many species that had been oppressed by the Council's rigid rules were starting to rebel. The humans offered them something the Council never had: real equality and technological advancement. The Aquatic Federation reports that 3 of their water worlds have joined the Human Alliance, continued another representative. They claim the humans share their medical technology freely, unlike our restrictions. Zareth's crystal body flashed with anger. The humans are bribing them with advanced technology. This is exactly why we must stop this contamination before it spreads further." End quote. What Zareth didn't understand was that humans weren't bribing anyone. They were simply offering the same things they had tried to offer the Council years before: partnership, shared knowledge, and mutual respect. Species that had been treated as junior members by the Council found the human approach refreshing. Captain Maria Santos sat in the command chair of the human battleship Retribution, reviewing intelligence reports from their new allies. The ship was one of dozens that had been built in secret during the past months. Unlike the small ghost ships, these were massive vessels designed for direct combat. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Rigel Federation," reported Lieutenant Commander Jackson. "They've spotted a massive Council fleet forming near the Helix Nebula." End quote. With FOM. End quote. Maria studied the data. "How massive are we talking about?" "Over 2,000 ships, Captain. Dreadnoughts from the Vorthan Empire, swarm fighters from the Hive worlds, crystal ships from the Zephyrians. It looks like they're putting everything they have left into one big attack." Maria smiled grimly. "They're finally playing our game. Direct confrontation, instead of hiding behind their rules and traditions. Alert Admiral Reyes. Tell her the Council is coming for Earth." The Council's plan was simple but desperate. They would gather every remaining ship from all member species and launch a massive attack on Earth itself. If they could destroy humanity's homeworld, the rebellion would collapse and order would be restored to the galaxy. Admiral Zix of the Hive worlds commanded one section of the massive fleet. Her species had contributed over 400 swarm fighters, each controlled by the collective mind of her people. In theory, this gave them perfect coordination that no individual species could match. "The human homeworld is defended by only a few hundred ships," Zix reported to the fleet commanders. "Our numbers are overwhelming. Victory is certain." But Admiral Vorthak was not so confident. "These humans have surprised us before. Their ghost ships appeared from nowhere. Their technology exceeded our expectations. We should be cautious. Caution is what allowed them to grow strong," Zareth replied harshly. "We should have eliminated them completely when we had the chance. No more delays. No more underestimating. We destroy Earth and everything human in the galaxy. We set our one rand, also, and Setarand." The Council fleet jumped to hyperspace, heading directly for the Sol system. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. 2,000 ships representing 12 different species, all united in their determination to wipe out humanity. What they found waiting for them in the Helix Nebula was not what they expected. Captain Santos commanded the human fleet from her position at the edge of the nebula. She had only 300 ships, but each one was packed with technology that the Council had never seen before. More importantly, she had something the Council fleet lacked: allies. "Council fleet dropping out of hyperspace now," reported her sensor officer. "Count is 2,137 ships." "Acknowledged," Maria replied calmly. "Signal our allies. Begin the dance." The battle began when the Hive swarm fighters moved to attack. Admiral Zix expected the humans to try to escape or call for reinforcements. Instead, the human ships spread out and began fighting in small groups, each one moving independently. This confused the Hive collective intelligence. They were used to fighting enemies that moved in formation, following predictable patterns. But each human ship seemed to be making its own decisions, reacting to threats in ways that the collective mind couldn't predict. "They fight like separate creatures," Zix reported in confusion. "There is no pattern to their movements. How do they coordinate without a central mind?" The answer was something the Hive had never encountered: individual creativity combined with tactical training. Each human captain was making split-second decisions based on their own observations and experience. This made them unpredictable, but also incredibly adaptive. Captain Santos watched as her ships began the real attack, While the Council fleet focused on the human vessels, they failed to notice the real threat. Dr. Webb had positioned mining ships throughout the nebula, each one carrying a special cargo. "Deploy the civilization killer," Maria ordered. The mining ships opened their cargo bays and released clouds of nanites into space. These microscopic machines had been designed specifically to target alien technology. They didn't harm biological life, but they made advanced technology stop working. The nanites spread through the nebula like an invisible plague. When they reached the Council ships, the effects were immediate and devastating. Weapons stopped firing. Shields failed. Navigation systems went offline. Communications died. Admiral Vorthak watched in horror as his ancient dreadnoughts began drifting helplessly through space. "What is happening to our ships? All systems are failing simultaneously." "It's some kind of technological virus," reported one of his officers. "It's spreading through our entire fleet. Everything we touch with our computer systems becomes infected." The Zephyrian crystal ships were particularly vulnerable. Their entire civilization was based on crystalline technology that resonated with electromagnetic fields. The nanites disrupted these resonances, causing their ships to literally fall apart. High Counselor Zareth felt his command ship shuddering as its crystal matrix collapsed. "This is impossible! No species has this level of technological sophistication." But humans did, because they had spent decades studying every aspect of alien technology. Webb's scientists knew exactly how each Council species' systems worked, and they had designed weapons to exploit every weakness. The battle was over in less than 3 hours. The massive Council fleet that was supposed to destroy Earth had been reduced to helpless metal floating in space. Some ships tried to escape, but their navigation systems no longer worked. Others attempted to fight, but their weapons were dead. Captain Santos opened a communication channel to the surviving Council ships. "This is Captain Maria Santos of the Terran Federation. Your fleet is defeated. Your technology is disabled. You have 2 choices. Surrender and be treated according to galactic law, or continue fighting with whatever primitive weapons you have left." The response came from High Counselor Zareth himself. His voice was filled with disbelief and fear. "What kind of monsters create weapons like this?" "We're the species you tried to eliminate," Maria replied. "We're the ones you called too dangerous to exist. You were right about one thing. We are dangerous. But only to those who threaten innocent people. Surrender now, and your crews will be safe." One by one, the Council ships powered down their remaining systems and surrendered. The greatest military force in galactic history had been defeated by 300 human ships and a cloud of microscopic machines. The age of the Galactic Council was over. 18 months after the war began, Admiral Sarah Reyes stood before the first assembly of the new Galactic Federation. The meeting was held on Luna, in the same chamber where President Chen had first authorized the Reaper Protocol. But now, instead of human military leaders planning war, the room was filled with representatives from over 200 different species. The old Galactic Council was gone. Some of its members had fled to the far edges of the galaxy. Others had surrendered and accepted integration into the new Federation. A few, like High Counselor Zareth, were being held for trial for their crimes against humanity and other species. "Honored delegates," Admiral Reyes began, "we gather today not as conquerors and conquered, but as equals seeking a better future for all species in the galaxy." In the audience sat beings that would have been impossible to see together during the Council's reign. Aquatic species from the water worlds sat next to crystalline beings from the mineral planets. Former enemies now worked together on committees and shared their knowledge freely. Dr. Webb had been busy in the month since the war ended. His teams had been traveling throughout the galaxy, sharing human technology and learning from alien species. But more importantly, they had been documenting the Council's crimes. "The evidence is clear," Dr. Webb reported to the Assembly. "The Galactic Council maintained power through fear and technological suppression. They deliberately kept younger species from advancing, claiming it was for galactic stability. In reality, they were afraid of losing their authority. Admiral Vorthak, one of the few former council members to accept integration, spoke from his designated area. His insectoid features showed what humans had learned to recognize as shame. This is true. My species participated in suppressing over 50 developing civilizations. We told ourselves it was necessary, but we were simply protecting our privileged position. President Chen, now elderly and gray-haired, activated a holographic display. It showed a star map of the galaxy with thousands of marker points. These are species that the Council either destroyed or prevented from advancing. Some were eliminated entirely. Others were kept at primitive technological levels for thousands of years. The room became very quiet as the full scope of the Council's actions became clear. Entire civilizations had been snuffed out because they might have challenged the existing order. But that era is over, Chen continued. Today, we establish the Vasquez Doctrine, named after Ambassador Elena Vasquez, who died trying to bring peace to the galaxy. A hologram of Elena appeared above the assembly. She looked exactly as she had on the day she died. Hopeful, determined, believing in the possibility of friendship among the stars. Admiral Reyes read the principles of the new doctrine. First, all species, regardless of age or technological level, have the right to exist and develop according to their own nature. Second, no species may impose its will on another through force or technological superiority. Third, knowledge and advancement must be shared freely among all members of the Federation. Fourth, she continued, any species that attempts to recreate the Council's oppressive system will face the full defensive might of the Federation. And fifth, the Federation exists to protect the weak and support the growth of all civilizations. Captain Santos, now promoted to Admiral, stood to address the assembly. Some of you may wonder what gives humanity the right to create these rules. The answer is simple. We don't create them. We simply enforce what should have been obvious from the beginning. All thinking beings deserve freedom and respect. The transformation of the galaxy had been remarkable. Species that had been enemies for millennia were now working together on joint projects. The Rigel Federation was collaborating with former Council worlds to develop new medical treatments. The Hive worlds were teaching collective decision-making to species that had always relied on individual leaders. But perhaps the most significant change was in how conflicts were resolved. Instead of the Council's arbitrary judgments, the Federation used collaborative problem-solving. When disputes arose, teams of mediators from multiple species worked to find solutions that benefited everyone involved. The galaxy is not perfect, admitted Admiral Reyes. We still have problems. Some species refuse to join the Federation. Pirates and criminals still threaten peaceful worlds. But now we face these challenges together, as partners rather than subjects and rulers. An representative from the Aquatic Federation raised a tentacle to speak. What about the former Council species that fled to the Outer Rim? They still possess dangerous technology and harbor resentment against the Federation. Dr. Webb answered this question. We monitor them, but we don't pursue them unless they threaten others. The Federation is not an empire. We don't force membership on unwilling species, but if they attack Federation worlds or try to restart their oppressive system, we will respond. The response capabilities were considerable. Human shipyards continued producing advanced vessels, but now they shared the technology with allied species. The Ghost Fleet had been expanded and improved, with AI systems that could coordinate across multiple star systems simultaneously. More importantly, the Federation had developed rapid response teams that could deploy anywhere in the galaxy within days. These teams included not just military units but also medical personnel, engineers, and diplomats trained in peaceful conflict resolution. The real strength of the Federation is not our weapons, explained Captain Santos. It's our diversity. When the Council faced the human problem, they had only one solution: elimination. When the Federation faces problems, we have hundreds of different perspectives and approaches to choose from. This diversity had already proven valuable. When a plague threatened the silicon-based life forms in the Rigel system, organic species provided insights that led to a cure. When pirates began using new stealth technology, the collective intelligence of multiple species quickly developed countermeasures. The assembly concluded with a ceremony honoring all the beings who had died during the Council's reign of oppression. Elena Vasquez's name was read first, but it was followed by thousands of others. Scientists who had been silenced, explorers who had been eliminated, entire species that had been wiped out for being different. "We remember them," said President Chen, "not to fuel hatred or desire for revenge, but to ensure that their sacrifice builds a better future." Elena died believing that different species could work together in peace. Today, we prove she was right. As the ceremony ended, beings from across the galaxy mingled in ways that would have been unthinkable under the old system. Children from different worlds played together while their parents discussed trade agreements and scientific collaboration. Admiral Reyes stood at a viewing window, looking out at Earth rising over Luna's horizon. Beside her stood High Counselor Zareth, now a prisoner, but allowed to witness the ceremony under guard. "You destroyed our perfect order," Zareth said quietly. His crystal form was dim and colorless, reflecting his defeated state. "Your order wasn't perfect," Reyes replied. "It was stable, but stability based on oppression isn't peace. It's just delayed conflict. And what happens when your Federation faces a real crisis? When your diverse species can't agree on solutions? Chaos will return." Reyes smiled. "Maybe. But we'll face that chaos as free beings making our own choices. That's better than the peace of slaves." The final scene of this great transformation took place in the memorial garden that had been built in Elena's honor on Luna. Human children played alongside young beings from dozens of other species. Their laughter echoed through the garden, where Elena's words were carved in stone in 100 different languages. "We came in peace, seeking friendship among the stars." Elena's dream had finally come true, but not in the way she had imagined. Peace had come not through diplomacy and negotiation, but through strength and the willingness to fight for what was right. The galaxy had learned that sometimes the only way to achieve peace is to defeat those who refuse to allow it. And in the end, Elena's final request had been fulfilled. They had made the Council pay for their crimes, but more than that, they had made the galaxy free.